The courtroom fell into stunned silence the moment the millionaire's lawyer sprinted out the side door, leaving behind a stack of trembling papers and a trail of whispers. Even the sunlight pouring through the tall windows could not soften the shock that spread across every face. And at the center of it all, sitting behind the defendant's table, was Rowan Hale, a man worth millions, accused of crimes he insisted he never committed, now staring hopelessly at the empty chair where his attorney had been only seconds ago. Judges had seen scandals, juries had seen breakdowns, but no one had ever seen a lawyer flee mid-trial. And in that frozen moment, while panic pulsed through the room, the most unexpected person in the entire building stepped forward, a single dad who spent every morning mopping the hallway floors and every afternoon reading law textbooks during his lunch break. His name was Arlen Brooks, and he was about to rewrite the meaning of courage. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and extraordinary bravery from ordinary people, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel Good Soul. Arlen had never imagined himself standing in a courtroom like this. Not as staff. Not as a spectator. But as someone needed. He had been working as a janitor for 8 years after losing his wife to an accident that left him raising his young daughter, Mara, alone. To keep up with bills and responsibilities, he took the job he could get, not the life he once dreamed of. Yet during the quiet hours of the day, he found himself reaching for the books that once made his heart race, law books, because long ago, before everything fell apart, he had studied to become a lawyer. He had been one semester away from finishing when tragedy hit. He never returned. Until fate dragged him back. When Rowan Hale looked up and saw Arlen gently stepping toward him, holding the abandoned legal files in his rough, calloused hands, disbelief covered his face. But there was something steady in Arlen's eyes, a kind of calm purpose that even the judge noticed. The courtroom murmurs grew louder. The judge asked who he was. Arlen answered simply that he was a janitor, but he knew the case file better than anyone because he cleaned the lawyer's office every night and couldn't help reading the documents left open on the desk. Gasps filled the room, but the judge, bound by the urgency of the now chaotic trial, allowed him to speak. Outside, sunlight washed the courthouse steps, and it felt like daytime was holding its breath, waiting to see what this unexpected man would do. Arlen took a shaky breath and walked to the center of the courtroom. His hands trembled, not from fear of the law but from fear of failing the chance life had suddenly placed before him. He remembered Mara's little voice telling him that heroes were just people who didn't walk away. And so he refused to step back. As he began presenting facts he had memorized from months of silently reading discarded papers, the courtroom shifted. The jury leaned in. Rowan stared in stunned hope. Even the prosecution stopped smirking. For the first time in years, Arlen felt alive. His words grew stronger. His confidence steadier. He pointed out inconsistencies in the witness statements, highlighted missing evidence the fleeing lawyer hadn't bothered to question, and pieced together the timeline with a clarity that left the room whispering in disbelief. But the most powerful moment came when he spoke about justice, not for the wealthy or the powerful, but for anyone who had ever been overlooked, dismissed, or underestimated. His voice cracked, and in that crack lived the weight of every hardship he had survived. By the time he finished, the courtroom was silent again, but this time, it was the silence of people witnessing something profound. The jury left to deliberate. Rowan thanked Arlen with tears in his eyes. And Arlen, still wearing his janitor uniform, stepped outside into the daylight, staring at the sky and wondering whether he had done enough, for Rowan, for Mara, and for the version of himself he once thought was lost forever. When the jury returned, the verdict was read: Rowan Hale was innocent. The courtroom erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters surged. But in the middle of it all, Arlen stood still, humbled and overwhelmed as Rowan's family lifted him in gratitude. The judge called him forward, praising his courage and announcing that the state would sponsor his return to law school on full scholarship. Arlen felt his knees weaken. After years of cleaning floors, he was finally being handed the chance to rise. When he walked out of the courthouse into the bright afternoon light, Mara ran into his arms with pride shining in her eyes. For Arlen, that moment meant more than any applause. He had fought for justice and found his own. If this story touched your heart, even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Good Soul. Your support helps more emotional, life-changing stories reach those who need hope. Special request: before you leave, comment, "Justice can come from anywhere," to show you were truly moved.